So we are here at the Coachella Valley History Museum with Kenneth Churchill, the owner of West Coast Cannabis Club, which I had the pleasure of being able to go and visit earlier today.
Yes, ma'am.
And learn a little bit about the history. We drove by another location, which I heard a couple of stories about too, which has been interesting. But you have a lot of history here in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
valley.
Yeah.
Welcome, Kenny.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my pleasure. I've operated cannabis businesses in the Coachella Valley since early 2016 is when I opened up my first store. So predating recreational sales back in the medical days. So I've been in it for a little while.
Business plan and business strategy changed a little bit through the years?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in cannabis, we're kind of building the plane as we're flying, and so it's difficult where there's no textbook. There's nobody that you can call to find out how to operate these businesses, right? So not only do we build these business plans, but then we wait for certain government officials to then just change the rules an hour and a half later. And so this is an industry in which you have to be able to pivot. And you can't be stuck in your ways. You have to understand that we are the trailblazers in this industry. We are writing, the future for this industry, and you've really got to have patience, and you really got to be willing to roll with the punches.
Long game.
Oh yeah, it's. I don't think anybody who was involved in 2016 was in it for any other reason than being incredibly passionate about what we were doing. I mean, what we had to go through, what we had to put into it financially, mentally, emotionally, it was for people who were passionate, who understood what was in front of us, and and I love the fact that a lot of us we're still around.
I love that too. It's not easy.
No.
When I first entered the space, I thought of cannabis as the railroads. Like when we built the railroads, some of the people that built the railroads became a part of the tracks, right? And we've seen that. I've seen that just in the 7 years I've been around. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people disappearing and then people still here. Coachella Valley is a special place for you.
Yeah.
You continue to grow and thrive here. What makes it special?
I love the Coachella Valley. I had never been to Palm Springs or the Coachella Valley at all until the day that I signed a lease on my commercial property. So I drove out here, signed a lease for my application, and I never left. And so I'm here for the long haul. My lady's from here. We've got family around here. I'm heavily involved in this community. I'm on several boards here, including the Coachella Valley History Museum as well. So I'm deeply entrenched in this community, and I think it's evolved from running a business in this community to actually trying to contribute to bettering this community. And at first, when I started my business, I didn't realize the long game that was really involved. I was so thrilled to have an opportunity to have a store that was my own, and that was my single focus. And then I had a second store, third store, fourth store, and it started building. And then all of a sudden, my job changed from just, operating a location to really working in this community and helping lobby for better regulations for the cannabis industry and supporting 100+ workers within my own company. And it's evolved a lot, but I think at the end of the day, the Coachella Valley has welcomed me in, and I'm not going anywhere.
I love it. Thank you. Okay. The last thing I want to be able to ask you is, what is it that you're seeing in your locations as far as demand? I know the location we were at earlier is really close to Coachella. We've got the festivals coming up. We've heard, we definitely want to be able to do more events and things like this. We'd love to be smoking a joint right now. I'm just saying, right? What does that look like for you and what you're building?
It's been a lot of fun kind of watching the development of the industry, right? So like I said, when we first opened up, especially for people who are coming into the store, it was often half the people had never really been in a store before. So they were really excited and they're like, wait, is that a Rice Krispie treat? I want one of those. Is that a brownie? I want one of those. And they would leave with $600-700 worth of product because it was an experience for them.
Yeah.
Or we had people who would come in and they would have their hat on, their hoodie on, and they would try to pretend like, you know, that they weren't actually there. They would park in the back parking lot. And now it's funny how just every day it is. Like now it's people just running an errand, right? And so you know, we used to go in and people would just be like, do you have an indica? And now it's, hey, can I get a, you know, an eighth of hydrotic, you know, and they know exactly what they want, right? Because they do this every day now. And so now it's just part of their life. And, you know, if you see the customer base that we have, it's everything from 21 to 95, you know, and everything in between. There's no socioeconomic, there's no race, there's no age that doesn't participate in this industry. And I think that's an absolute blessing. And it's difficult at times because you really have to find a way to make everybody happy. But that's, you know, it's easier when you're selling weed, right? So I love it. I love finding out how this industry is going to change. You know, I no longer grow because, as you know, cultivation is, you know, really taking a beating. And so I'm focusing more on the retail side. I at one point really thought vertical integration was going to be the only way you can survive, and now I just don't want to touch anything outside of retail stores. And so it changes a lot. But like we said, hey, I'm still here and not going anywhere, so we'll figure it out.
I mean, I think that's also really important to know as a business owner of what's for you and what's not for you. I think a lot of people have a tendency to like, we're going to do all the things. But sometimes we don't do all the things well.
For sure.
And depending on what you're really trying to grow. One thing that really stood out in the shop today was, you know, very clean environment, very welcoming environment. And your selection is very medical, like really seeing a lot of different cannabinoids, seeing a lot of different terpenes, seeing a lot of different products for different consumption types, you know, including the bath bombs and hey, spicy time, guys. Don't forget the spicy time. And then also staff that was just really stellar educating. That is the deal breaker for me. You know, look, I know the first question's still going to be, do you want indica, hybrid, or sativa? To which my response will always be, I use them all appropriately.
For which time of the day?
Yes. But I, you know, just overhearing your staff today earlier talking about how taking the customer almost on a customer journey to learn more about them in order to help them identify what experience they're looking for, right?
I'm a firm believer that my staff, my team is my business, right? Like I don't have a business without an incredible staff. If they don't know everything about this industry, if they don't know more than even I know, then I'm not doing my job, and our customers are going to be able to see that right away. There's no shortage of dispensaries in the Coachella Valley. People have options. They can go other places. And so most of my staff has worked for me for 5+ years. You know, they've been through hell. They've seen it all, right? They've seen us thriving. They've seen us shutting stores down. They're battle tested. And so again, they still choose to show up every single day and give it everything they have because this is what they do. It's what they're passionate about. And so I don't staff my store with part-time employees that are just looking for hours. Like it's very much people who understand that we have people who are trying to, you know, get off opiates. We have people who are using this for, you know, pain relief. And then we have people who just like to get stoned. But you have to know how to take care of all those people, and you got to take it seriously. And so I love my team. I really appreciate you saying that. It's like the greatest compliment you can give me. And so, yeah, I'm very lucky and very blessed.
Yeah. I'm very impressed.
Thank you so much, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, thank you so much.
Okay.